Hi, my name is William Charles D. Morales, and I'm gonna introduce the ebook. The ebook called The Singularity is Near When Human Transcends Biology. The Singularity is Near When Human Transcends Biology is a thought-provoking and highly influential book written by futurist Ray Kurzweil, originally published in 2005. This book explores the concept of technological singularity, a hypothetical future point in time where artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence, and the consequences of this event for humanity. Kurzweil's books is a fascinating blend of science, philosophy, and futurism, as he makes a compelling case for inviolability of the singularity, citing advances in technology, neuroscience, and genetics as evidence. He also explores the potential benefits and risks associated with the singularity, ranging from the possibility of immortality and enhanced human intelligence to the potential loss of control over powerful technologies and the creation of new forms of inequality. The ebook have 9 chapters. The first one, Chapter 1, Introduction. The concept of singularity is near. The concept of singularity has been a topic of interest for many years, and it refers to the moment when artificial intelligence surpasses the human intelligence, leading to a rapid and unprecedented transformation of society. This event is often referred to as the technological singularity, and it is believed to be approaching rapidly. Chapter 2, History of Computing and Development of Artificial Intelligence. Chapter 2 of this book delves into the history of computing and development of artificial intelligence, from the early days of mechanical computing machines to the modern era of deep learning and neural networks. The chapter explores the key milestones and breakthroughs that have shaped the field of computing and artificial intelligence. Chapter 3, The Law of Accelerating Returns. Kurzweil argues that technology is advancing at an exponential rate and that this exponential growth will continue into the future. The law of accelerating returns states the rate of the technological progress will increase exponentially, leading to a singularity, a point in time when artificial intelligence will surpass human intelligence and fundamentally change the nature of human life. In this chapter, Kurzweil provides evidence to support this claim and discusses the implication of the law of accelerating returns for the future of humanity. Chapter 4, The Power of Computation. Chapter 4, The Power of Computation explores the concept of computation, which is at the core of modern computation technology. Computation is the progress of performing mathematical calculations and logical operations using a computer. This chapter delves into the history of computation, starting with the abacus, and traces its evolution to modern-day computers, which are capable of performing complex calculating at incredible speed. Chapter 5, The Future of Human Technology, Civilization, where we examine the potential impact of technology on human society and our planet. As technology continues to advance at an unprecedented pace, it is essential that we consider how it will shape our lives, economy, and environment in the years to come. In this chapter, we will explore some of the key trends, challenges, and the opportunities that are likely to emerge as we move towards a more technology-driven future, from artificial intelligence to climate change. We will consider the many factors that are likely to shape the future of human technology, civilization, and discuss some of the ways that we can prepare ourselves to this rapidly evolving landscape. Chapter 6. Chapter 6. The impact of the singularity on business and economics. Chapter 6 explores the potential impact of technology singularity on the world of business and economics. The singularity refers to the hypothetical future event in which artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence and accelerates technological progress at a percentage rate. This chapter discusses how this transformative event could affect industries, labor markets, and economic system. It also explores potential strategies for business and policy makers to prepare for adapt to the changes that may come with the singularity. Chapter 7. The impact of the singularity on the government, politics, and war. This technological singularity refers to a hypothetical future where artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence, leading to an unpredictable and transformative era. This chapter examines how the singularity could disrupt the traditional structures of government, change the dynamics of the international politics, and revolutionize the way wars are fought. It also delves into the ethical consideration and challenges that policymakers and society will face in this new era. Overall, Chapter 7 provides a thought-provoking analysis of the potential ramifications of the singularity on our political and military system. Chapter 8. Aids to the human condition. Chapter 8. Aids to the human condition explores various tools and techniques that can aid individuals in improving their physical and mental well-being. From simple lifestyle changes like proper nutrition and exercises to the more advanced therapies such as meditation and cognitive behavioral therapy. This chapter delves into the different ways individuals can take charge of their health and improve their quality of the life. This chapter also discusses the importance of seeking professional help when necessary and potential benefits of alternative therapies. Overall, this chapter provides a comprehensive overview of the aids available to the individuals looking to improve their physical and mental health. And this is the last chapter of this ebook, the chapter The Impact of the Singularity on Business and Economics. This chapter explores the potential impact of the technological singularity on business and economics. This chapter considers how business and economics might be affected by such a dramatic shift in technological capabilities. It examines possible scenarios where machines become the dominant force in production and decision making, and how this could lead to the major disruptions in employment, market competition, and wealth distribution. This chapter concludes by highlighting the need for proactive measures to prepare for the integrate potential consequences of the singularity on business and economics. And this is the introduction of this ebook and all of the information that I might give you in this intro. Thank you.
Outlining its content, Chapter 1, The Six Epochs. It focuses on the intuitive linear view versus the historical exponential view, and also the six epochs. This chapter was written to see how our brain has greater capacity, speed, and knowledge for sharing the ability of our technology. So what are those 6 epochs to this chapter? Physics and chemistry, biology and DNA, brains, technology, the merge of human technology with human intelligence, and the universe wakes up. Outlining its content, Chapter 2, A Theory of Technology Evolution, the Law of Accelerating Returns. This chapter is all about the theory of technology evolution law of accelerating returns. In this chapter, told that speeding human evolution always is increasing as they keep passing, and we have benefit to evolution for our society. And as we also enhance every single day, and what are the parts of this chapter? Those are the nature of order, the life cycle of paradigm, fractal design, and far-sighted evolution. Outlining its content, Chapter 3, Achieving the Computational Capacity of the Human Brain. This chapter is all about the amount of computation and memory of the human brain. This chapter can be tackled that memory required to achieve human levels of intelligence. What are the topics in this chapter? Molecular computing and emerging computational technologies, the computational capacity of the human brain, and the limits of computation. Outlining its content, Chapter 4, Achieving the Software of Human Intelligence. This is all about the software of the human brain. And this chapter is about how our brain evolves and creates a pattern. And then the brain circuits are very slow to combine the analog and digital. Those are the topics in this chapter. Reverse engineering the brain, an overview of the task. Is this the brain different from a computer? Peering into the brain, building the models of the brain, interfacing the brain and machines, the accelerating pace of reverse engineering the brain, uploading the human brain. Outlining its content, Chapter 5, GNR, 3 Overlapping Revolution. This chapter talks about the 3 revolutions and how the 3 revolutions have a great impact on our technology. And also, this revolution can find answer to our daily lives. And so what are the topics in this chapter? Genetics, nanotechnology, and robotics. Outlining its content, Chapter 6, The Impact, a panoply of impact. In this chapter, it has a very short outline, but this is all about the things that will happen in the future and how this thing will affect us in the future. And the topics in these chapters is on the human body, on the human brain, on the human longevity, virtual reality paradigm, on learning, on work, on play, and why we are probably alone in the universe. Outlining its content, Chapter 7, Ich bin in Singularitarian. This is all about what Singularitarian do and what is the meaning of life can reflect to her or his. And this is the topic of this chapter, the vexing question of consciousness. Who am I? What am I? The singularity as transcendence. Outlining its content, Chapter 8, The Deeply Intertwined Promise and Peril of GNR. This chapter talks about the Kurzweil point of view, why the future doesn't need us, and why he clarifies Joyce's position and comments. And also, it talks about the technology that can impact us. So, what are the topics in this chapter? Intertwined benefits and dangers, a panoply of existential risk, preparing the defenses, the idea of relinquishment, the development of defensive technology, and the impact of regulation, and lastly, a program for GNR defense. Outlining its content, Chapter 9, Response to Critics. This chapter helps us to understand the author's proposal and thinking to extrapolate pertinent information. Overall, this chapter talks about the artificial intelligence, and this contains many thoughts and predictions about the future. The topics can be challenging as asserting fact from the author and the reader. So what are the topics in this chapter? A panoply of criticism, the criticism from Malthus, the criticism from software, the criticism from analog processing, the criticism from the complexity of neural processing, the criticism from microtubes and quantum computing, the criticism from the church during thesis, the criticism from failure rates, the criticism from lock-in, the criticism from ontology, can a computer be conscious, the criticism from the rich-poor divide, the criticism from likelihood of government regulation, the criticism of theism, and lastly, the criticism from holism.
I will discuss the highlights of Chapter 1. So what exactly is singularity? It is a period in the future when the rate of technological change will be so rapid and profound that human life will be irreversibly altered. The singularity will allow us to transcend those biological limitations. Both bodies and brains are involved. The brain is severely constrained. We use its massive parallelism to detect subtle patterns quickly. However, our reasoning is extremely slow. Basic neural transactions are several million times slower than modern transactions. Circuits are made of electronic components. This increases our physiological bandwidth for processing new information. In comparison to the exponential growth of human population, information is extremely limited. Knowledge-based technologies will eventually include all human knowledge and proficiency, pattern and recognition abilities, problem-solving abilities, and emotional moral stability of human intelligence. Each stage of epoch and both biological evolution and human technology work through in direction. Countdown to singularity shows continuous acceleration. The conclusion was the intelligence that will emerge and continue to represent the human civilization, which already a human-machine civilization, in which other word, future machine will be human, even if they are not biological. Chapter 2. A Theory of Technology Evolution. Evolution worked through indirection. Evolution created humans. Humans created technology. Humans are now working with increasingly advanced technology to create new generation of technology. By the time of singularity, there won't be a distinction between humans and technology. This is not because humans will have become what we think of as machines today, but rather machines will have progressed to be like humans and beyond. The law of accelerating returns applies to all of technology, indeed to any evolutionary process. It can be charted with remarkable precision and information-based technologies because we have well-defined indexes, for example, calculation per second per dollar or calculation per second per gram. To measure them, there are a great many examples of the exponential growth implied by the law of accelerating returns in area as varied as electronic of all kinds, DNA sequencing, communications, brain scanning, brain reverse engineering, the size and scope of human knowledge, and the rapidly shrinking size of technology. The latter trend is directly related to emergence of nanotechnology. Chapter 3. Achieving the computational capacity of human brain. The bridge to 3D molecular computing. Immediate steps are already underway. New technologies that will lead to the sixth paradigm of molecular three-dimensional computing include nanotubes, the nanotube circuitry, molecular computing, self-assembly and nanotube circuits, biological system emulating circuit assembly, computing with DNA, spintronics, computing with the spin of electrons, computing with the light and spectrum of computing. Many of these independent technologies can be integrated into computational systems that will eventually approach the theoretical maximum capacity of matter and energy to perform computation and will far outpace the computational capacities of a human brain. Chapter 4: Achieving the Software of Human Intelligence. The combination of human-level intelligence with the computer's inherent superiority in speed, accuracy, and memory-sharing ability will be formidable. To date, however, most AI research and development has utilized engineering methods that are not necessarily based on how the human brain functions. For the simple reason that we not had the precise tools needed to develop detailed models of human cognition. Understanding the methods of the human brain will help us to design similar biologically inspired machines. Another important application will be to actual interface our brain with computers, which I believe will become an easily intimate merger in the decades ahead. There are basic principles of operation that we need to understand about how human intelligence and its varied constituent skill work. Given the human brain's plasticity, our thoughts literally create our brain through the growth of new spines, synapses, dendrites, and even neurons. Chapter 5: Three Overlapping Revolutions. The first of the 21st century will be characterized by three overlapping revolutions in genetics, nanotechnology, and robotics. This will be ushered in what I referred to earlier as Epoch 5, the beginning of singularity. We are in the stages of G revolution today. By understanding the information processes underlying life, we are starting to learn to reprogram our biology to archive the virtual elimination of disease, dramatic expansion of human potential, and radical life extensions. The N revolution will enable us to redesign and rebuild molecule by molecule our bodies and brains and the world with which we interact. Going far beyond the limits of biology, the most powerful impending revolution is our human-level robots with their language derived from our own but redesigned to far exceed human capabilities. The designer baby revolution is going to be very slow one. It won't be a significant factor in this century. Other revolutions will overtake it. We won't have the technology for the designer babies for another 10 to 20 years. To the extent that is used, it would be adopted gradually, and then it will take those generations another 20 years to reach the maturity. By the time we're approaching the singularity with the real revolution being the predominance of non-biological intelligence that will go far beyond the capacities of any designer genes, when nanotechnology is mature, it's going to solve the problems of biology by overcoming biological pathogens, removing toxins, collecting DNA errors, and reversing other resources of aging. We will then have to contend with new dangers that it introduces, just as Internet introduced the danger of software viruses. A contemporary human is a collection of cells, and that we are a product of evolution, indeed its cutting edge. But the extending our intelligence by reverse engineering it, modeling it, simulating it, re-strengthening it with more capable substrates and modifying and extending it is a next step in its evolution. It was a fate of bacteria to evolve into a technology-creating species, and it's our destiny now to evolve into a vast intelligence of singularity.
The impact. As the singularity approaches, we will have to reconsider our ideas about the nature of human life and redesign our human institutions. The widely dispersed nanobots in our brain will communicate with the biological neurons there. Learning will shift online first, and once our brains are online, we will be able to download new knowledge and skills. A radical upgrading of our body's physical and mental systems is already underway, using biotechnology and emerging genetic engineering technologies. We do know that our digestive processes, in particular, are optimized for a period in our evolutionary development that is dramatically dissimilar to the one in which we now find ourselves. We now live in an era of great material abundance, at least in technological advanced nations. Most work requires mental effort rather than physical exertion. Our species has already augmented our natural lifespan through our technology by drugs, supplements, replacement parts for virtually all bodily systems, and many other inventions. The use of nanobots as brain extenders will be significant improvement over surgically installed neural implants, which are beginning to be used today. Nanobots will introduce without surgery through the bloodstream and if necessary can all be directed to live so that the process is easily reversible. Chapter 7. A singularitarian is someone who understands the singularity and has reflected on its meaning for his or her own life. Being a singularitarian is not a matter of faith, but one of understanding, pondering the scientific trends. Only technology can provide the scale to overcome the challenges with which human society has struggled for generations. It is up to the intelligence to identify the important patterns and take appropriate actions. Some observers refer to the post-singularity period as post-human, and refer to the anticipation of this period as post-humanism. Being human implies being part of a culture that strives to expand, with the ability to quickly reprogram. If we consider a technological altered human to no longer to be human, the transformation underlying the singularity is not just another in a long line of steps in biological. Chapter 8. Technology has always been a mixed blessing, bringing us benefits such as longer and healthier lifespans, freedom from physical and mental. Technology empowers both our creative and destructive natures. Many of us now have the opportunity to gain satisfaction and meaning from our work, rather than merely toiling to survive. We have ever more powerful tools to express ourselves. With the web now reaching deeply into less developed regions of the world, we will see major strides in the availability of high-quality education and medical knowledge. As technology accelerates toward the full realization of GNR, nanobot technology requires trillions of such intelligently designed devices to be useful. Distributed technologies, on the other hand, tend to be flexible, efficient, and relatively benign in their environmental effects. We need to streamline the regulatory process for genetic and medical technologies to better balance the risk of new technology against the known harm of delay. Technology will remain a double-edged sword. It will represent vast power to be used for all humankind's purposes. GNR will provide the means to overcome age-old problems such as illness and poverty. Chapter 9. Response to crisis. A related criticism is based on the notion that it is difficult to predict the future, and any number of bad predictions from other futurists in early eras can be cited to support this. Predicting which company or product will succeed is indeed very difficult. Even the human population is now approaching a limit. Families in the more developed nations have mastered means of birth control and have set relatively high standards for the resources they wish to provide their children. As a result, population expansion in the developed world has largely stopped. The human brain itself is created from a genome with only 30 to 100 million bytes of useful compressed information. The purpose of reverse engineering the human brain is not to copy the digestive or other unwieldy processes of biological neurons, but rather to understand their key information.
Chapter 1: Introduction of the concept of singularity is near. Kurzweil begins the chapter by defining the singularity as the point in time when machine intelligence surpasses human intelligence. He argues that this event is not only possible, but is likely to occur within the next few decades. Kurzweil then goes on to explain why the singularity is an important topic to discuss, citing its potential impact on nearly every aspect of human society, including healthcare, education, and economy. One of the key points that Kurzweil makes in this chapter is that the pace of technological progress is accelerating exponentially. He cites example of this acceleration in fields such as computing power, genetics, and nanotechnology. He argues that this exponential growth will continue and will eventually lead on the singularity. Kurzweil also introduces the concept of intelligence amplification or IA, which refers to the use of technology to enhance human intelligence. He argues that IA will play a critical role in preparing humanity for the singularity and ensuring a smooth transition to a world in which machine intelligence dominates. Throughout the chapter, Kurzweil provides numerous examples of how technology is already transforming human society and how it will continue to do so in the future. He discusses the potential for personalized medicine, virtual reality, and ubiquitous computing, among other things. Chapter 2: History of Computing and the Development of Artificial Intelligence. Kurzweil begins the chapter by discussing the early history of computing, including the development of mechanical calculators and early programmable computers such as the Harvard Mark I. He then moves on to the development of the integrated circuit, which allowed for the creation of much more powerful computers in the 1970s and 1980s. The chapter then shifts to a discussion of AI, beginning with the development of the first AI programs in the 1950s and 1960s. Kurzweil discusses the various approaches to AI, including rule-based systems and neural networks, and explains how these approaches have evolved over time. One of the key points that Kurzweil makes in this chapter is that the development of computing technology and AI have been closely intertwined. He argues that advances in computing power have enabled the development of more sophisticated AI systems, and that these AI systems have in turn driven further advances in computing technology. Chapter 3: The Law of Accelerating Returns. Kurzweil begins the chapter by discussing the idea that technological progress is not linear, but exponential. He argues that the rate of progress in many areas of technology, such as computing power and data storage, has been doubling roughly every year or two for the past several decades. This exponential growth, he argues, is the result of a feedback loop in which technological progress enables further progress, leading to an ever-increasing rate of change. The chapter then goes on to discuss the various technologies that are driving this exponential growth. including the development of the integrated circuit, advances in software, and the emergence of the internet. Kurzweil argues that each of these technologies has enabled further progress in other areas, leading to an ever accelerating rate of technological change. One of the key points that Kurzweil makes in this chapter is that exponential growth is difficult for humans to comprehend. He argues that our brains are wired to think in linear terms and that we tend to underestimate the potential impact of exponential growth. This, he argues, is why many people are skeptical of his predictions about the singularity and the future of technology. Chapter 4: The Power of Computation. Kurzweil begins the chapter by discussing the exponential growth of computing power and how it was enabled many of the technological advances we have seen in recent years. He argues that the growth of computing power is not just a matter of making computers faster, but also involves shrinking the size of transistors on integrated circuits, which allows more circuits to be packed onto a single chip. The chapter then goes on to discuss the various ways in which computing power is being used to advance technology, including in areas such as artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, and biotechnology. Kurzweil argues that as computing power continues to increase, we will see even more dramatic advances in these fields. One of the key points that Kurzweil makes in this chapter is that computing power is not just important for achieving the singularity, but also for addressing many of the world's most pressing problems. He argues that the ability to process and analyze vast amounts of data will be essential for solving issues such as climate change, poverty, and disease. Chapter 5: The Future of Human Technology Civilization. Kurzweil begins the chapter by discussing the idea that the singularity will lead to a merging of human beings and technology, and that this will have profound implications for our society. He argues that as we become increasingly integrated with technology, we will see significant changes in many areas of human life, including work, education, and entertainment. The chapter then goes on to discuss some of the specific ways in which the singularity is likely to impact human society. Kurzweil argues that we will see significant advances in healthcare, with the ability to diagnose and treat diseases at a much early stage than is currently possible. He also discusses the potential for personalized medicine, in which treatments are tailored to an individual's genetic makeup. Kurzweil also discusses the potential impact of singularity on the job market, arguing that we will see significant automation of many jobs that are currently done by humans. He suggests that this will require a significant shift in our educational system, with a greater emphasis on teaching skills that are less easily automated. One of the key points that Kurzweil makes in this chapter is that we need to start preparing for the changes that are likely to occur as a result of the singularity. He argues that we need to start thinking about how we can ensure that the benefits of technology are distributed fairly, and that we need to develop ethical guidelines for the use of technology. Chapter 6: The Impact of the Singularity on Business and Economics. Kurzweil begins the chapter by discussing the idea that the singularity will lead to a significant increases in productivity, with machines and software able to perform tasks more efficiently and effectively than humans. He argues that this will lead to significant changes in the economy, with a shift towards an economy that is driven by knowledge and creativity rather than physical labor. The chapter then goes on to discuss some of the specific ways in which the singularity is likely to impact business. Kurzweil argues that we will see significant automation of many jobs, with machines and software replacing human workers in many industries. He suggests that this will require a significant shift in the way that companies are organized, with a greater emphasis on knowledge workers and creative professionals. Kurzweil also discusses the potential for new business models to emerge as a result of the singularity. He argues that we will see the rise of new types of business that are based on information and knowledge, rather than physical products or services. He suggests that this will require a significant shift in the way that companies are structured and managed, with a greater emphasis on collaboration and knowledge sharing. One of the key points that Kurzweil makes in this chapter is that companies need to start preparing for the changes that are likely to occur as a result of the singularity. He argues that companies need to start thinking about how they can adapt to the changing economy, and how they can develop new products and services that are aligned with the needs of a rapidly changing market. Chapter 7: The Impact of the Singularity on Government, Politics, and War. Kurzweil begins the chapter by discussing the potential for technology to democratize information and increase transparency in government. He argues that as information becomes more widely available, citizens will be able to hold their governments more accountable and ensure that their needs are being met. The chapter then goes on to discuss the potential for technology to impact political campaigns and elections. Kurzweil suggests that technology will allow for more personalized political advertising and campaigning, as well as the ability to use data analytics to target specific groups of voters. Kurzweil also discusses the potential for technology to impact warfare, arguing that advances in military technology could lead to the development of new types of weapons and the ability to conduct warfare in new ways. He suggests that the use of unmanned vehicles and autonomous weapon systems could significantly change the way that wars are fought. One of the key points that Kurzweil makes in this chapter is that we need to ensure that the benefits of technology are distributed fairly, and that we need to develop ethical guidelines for the use of technology in government and warfare. He argues that we need to be careful to avoid creating new forms of inequality or exacerbating existing ones. Chapter 8: Aids to the Human Condition. Kurzweil begins the chapter by discussing the potential for technology to significantly extend human lifespan. He suggests that advances in biotechnology, nanotechnology, and other fields could enable us to significantly slow down the aging process and even achieve immortality. The chapter then goes on to discuss the potential for technology to enhance human cognitive abilities such as memory, creativity, and intelligence. Kurzweil argues that advances in neurotechnology, artificial intelligence, and other fields could enable us to significantly enhance our cognitive abilities and overcome limitations that have traditionally been seen as inherent to the human condition. Kurzweil also discusses the potential for technology to improve human health through the development of new medical treatments and therapies. He suggests that advances in biotechnology could lead to the development of new treatments for diseases such as cancer, Alzheimer's, and heart disease, as well as new regenerative therapies that could enable us to regrow damaged or diseased tissues and organs. One of the key points that Kurzweil makes in this chapter is that technology can be used to enhance the human condition, but we need to be careful to avoid creating new forms of inequality or exacerbating existing ones. He argues that we need to ensure that the benefits of technology are distributed fairly and that everyone has access to the tools and resources they need to improve their lives. Chapter 9 also focuses the chapter of the impact of the singularity on business and economics. Kurzweil begins the chapter by discussing the potential for technology to significantly increase productivity and efficiency in the workplace. He argues that advances in robotics, artificial intelligence, and other fields that could enable companies to automate many tasks that are currently performed by humans, leading to increased efficiency and reduced costs. The chapter then goes on to discuss the potential for technology to disrupt traditional business models and create new opportunities for innovation and growth. Kurzweil suggests that advances in technology could enable individuals in technology, or what I meant is, and small startups to compete with larger companies, and that the ability to quickly adapt to new technologies will become a key factor in business success. Kurzweil also discusses the potential for technology to create new forms of wealth and value, such as through the development of new intellectual property and the use of data analytics to create new insights and opportunities. He suggests that the ability to harness these new forms of wealth will be critical for individuals and companies seeking to thrive in a rapidly changing economy. One of the key points that Kurzweil makes in this chapter is that we need to ensure that the benefits of technology are distributed fairly, and that we need to find ways to support those who may be displaced by, by technology advances or technological advances. He argues that we need to develop new economic models that can accommodate the changes that are likely to occur, and that we need to be proactive in preparing in the future.